And welcome in to Tennessee Tuesday. You're on SCB Chat. I'm your host, John Blankenship, with you tonight. We're running just a couple of minutes behind, little tech issues to get us started, but we're good to go on a Tuesday evening, September the 16th, and we've got a great show lined up for you tonight. Again, Moose, how are you doing this evening? Thank you for coming in producing again.
Oh, I'm doing good, Commander. Blessed day here in Mississippi, a long day here in Mississippi. I came in from work about 10 minutes ago, so we were cutting it close anyway. And then, yeah, as you said, the technical issues has made today an interesting episode. But I am happy to see that we were able to get everything started. If you don't mind, before we get started, I'll go ahead and do the disclaimer.
Absolutely. Let's go through it.
All right, everybody. Same as usual. Remember, the views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the SCV, its GEC, Narnie Division, Brigade Camps, the Tennessee Division, or any other subsidiaries, strictly those who are expressing them.
Absolutely. That's it. Again, Moose, thank you so much. We're jumping in again a little late tonight, but that's okay. We're still here, and we're good to go this evening. And got a great program lined up. As we've got a special guest with us tonight, Mr. Tom Wood, who is the camp commander of the General Hatton Camp in Lebanon, Tennessee. He's award-winning, and his camp is as well. He's also the chief of staff of the Army of Tennessee and the chaplain of the Tennessee Division. So we're going to be talking with Tom tonight, and just a great evening lined up for us. So I'm glad you're here with us, and hope you'll stick with us for about the next hour. We'll have a great show lined up tonight. So let's welcome in our guest as we get started this evening, Tom Wood. And Tom, good evening.
Well, good evening to you. I'm sorry for my technical problems here, but looks like we've got it worked out. Good evening to you, John and Moose. Good to see you folks tonight.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about several things. Of course, you're the commander there, Tom, of the General Hatton Camp, and we'll talk a little bit about you, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit more of your biography as we get into our second segment here. And Tom, tell me a little bit about Camp 723 there in Lebanon, the General Hatton Camp. I know you're camp commander. Give me a little brief there of what you guys do.
Well, we're a pretty busy camp. I have to say that, but we do a lot of things. Let me kind of start with what we've done in the last few weeks and what we're currently working on. And we got several projects going on. Of course, we just finished our Tennessee State Fair. 10 days out there at the fair, talking to thousands of people. It's just amazing that,
Yeah.
the fair had over 800,000 people that came through that fair.
It's a big fair for a long time. And Tom, we've got, I tell Moose in the background here, we've got some photos. There's 3 or 4 photos I've put up of your booth. And
Okay.
you'll
Okay.
see those come up. And we can kind of talk about those a little bit. And I know you guys have been at the fair there for several years. And I think you can see that photo there. Kind of tell us about some of these as we kind of go through them.
Well, this is one of our best friends of our camp. This is State Senator Mark Pody. He is just amazing for our camp. He tell you a funny story. I had sent all of our local political people information about us being honored to win the Distinguished Camp this year, and Senator Pody came. I saw him come. Well, I didn't see him till I heard him. He came walking down the pathway, and he said, "The best camp in the nation, the best camp in the nation, the best camp in the nation." He was yelling it out. He came in and talked to me for a while and congratulated us, and then he left. And then he came back from the other direction, did the same thing again. So he's very proud of us. We're very proud of him. So we enjoy that relationship, and he's been very, very, very helpful to us.
Yeah, it's great, Tom, to have that support from our representatives to know that when we need something, we can call on these guys and they're listening and they appreciate what we do.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about some more photos here. I know at your booth there, we've got the, you see that one there of kind of the setup of the booth as it got started.
Yeah, that was, I can't see it very good. I'm on my iPhone here, but that's our little canopy where we do our business out there. And we've also, not only do we have a recruiting booth, we one of our major fundraisers for the year is selling our caramel corn. We have a little wagon. You probably have a picture of that little wagon. It's just down a few feet from our booth, and that's our, there's our little wagon. And we're also advertising our turkey shoots. We have 3 turkey shoots coming up this fall. That's a good money fundraiser for us. And so between everything that's going on there, we're pretty busy and very proud of our people and our camp. We had great participation, and everybody showed up, and that makes everybody's job easier.
Absolutely. Tom, talk a little bit about the caramel corn. Folks that may be watching tonight may say, "Man, I've seen Tom's pictures, but what about that caramel corn? It's famous now. Tell me why it's famous."
It is famous. We have people that come to the fair, and every year they come and buy the corn. They love it. It's very good. We make it. We buy the packaged popcorn, and then we caramelize it, and so it turns out really really great. It is very popular indeed. Yeah.
So, Tom, I've learned something new about you tonight. I didn't know you had the talent to make caramel corn. Is that your doings, or who do we give credit to tonight?
Well, we all share in it. We all help make it and help eat it too.
Well, let's talk again about the booth there. So, kind of a recruitment booth you guys do, and awareness of what the camp does. What are you seeing membership wise from it? Have you gained members from the fair over the years?
Well, we have gained some. We do it for recruitment. Obviously, we try to recruit people there, but it's just as important to us to have a presence. We think that this helps us in our community efforts. People know who we are. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people see us. Some try to avoid us. A lot come and talk to us. A lot are there very happy we're there, very proud that we're there. They give us financial donations. They buy our trinkets and our goods, and they just try to help any way they can. And we get a lot of interest. We add a lot of people to our email list, so we're able to stay in touch with them throughout the year. We send them our newsletter, and we keep them informed of our events and all that, in the hopes that maybe eventually we'll get them on board. We had one person, that we had 2 people this year that we're extremely interested, and one, I believe he's going to join us this month.
Awesome.
So it's a good effort. Yeah.
And it's important, Tom, like you said, to be there, even if you're not gaining members each year, but just being present, being seen. I always say with our fair here in Gibson County, as long as they'll let me be there and set up a booth with Confederate flags and telling our story, I want to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll always be there as long as they invite us. And we have a, of course, we've been doing the county fair for over 20 years. And then it became the state fair, and we thought, well, that might jeopardize us, but it has not had any negative effect on us yet. They our Wilson County people are very strong at the fair, and probably help protect us and keep us in our spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like a prime spot there. You are easy to be seen. It's important being visible. And Tom, let's talk a little bit more before we take our first break. Then we're going to get into the life of General Hatton and learn about the camp's namesake. How long has Camp 723 been in existence, and how long have you been camp commander?
We celebrated our 40th anniversary last December. So this December, we're 41 years old. I served several years ago for a 2-year term as commander. 4 years ago, I offered my services again. And so I've been commander for 4 years and getting ready to start my 5th year.
Well, Tom, I know Moose has this picture here of the awards at a national you won here, and you can see that one there. It shows the hard work you do in your camp and all of your members do to earn these national awards for being distinguished and superior there in the Army of Tennessee and in the national level. Tom, talk about those awards that you guys won this year.
Well, this is, of course, if you win the National Distinguished Camp, you're going to win the AOT award. But the red one is the Army of Tennessee Superior Camp Award. The white one is the 2025 Distinguished Camp Award.
That's definitely something to be proud of. It shows your efforts. Again, a lot of great camps in our organization do a lot of work, but you guys are really standing out there, and it's good to be able to recognize the work you guys do. So, Tom, applause to you guys, everything y'all do in Lebanon, fine work. And we want to come back. We want to take a quick break here, Moose. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about Tom personally, who Tom Wood is and what all he's been involved in the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Then we want to get a little history discussion going with General Hatton. A lot of folks have heard that name. They've heard the camp name, but may not know who he is. So we're going to take this brief break. We'll come back and talk more as Tom Wood is our guest this evening on Tennessee Tuesday on SCV Chat. Moose, it's all yours to talk about sponsors. I know you've got several. And you're muted there.
Just one of them days, you know.
It's never stops. I know how it giving. Is. Everybody's having that day today.
This has been an interesting day here at either the farm, my office, and even the show, it seems. So, of course, these commercial breaks are sponsored by scvchat.com. If you want to watch this episode live on the website, check out the Monday episode and check out the future Thursday episode, our favorite archived episodes, our t-shirt store, favorite videos of the month, stuff like that. Please go check out scvchat.com. And of course, we could not do this show without our Patreons. For $2.50 a month, you can just throw your general support our way. For $10 a month, you get your name scrolling at the end of every episode in our end credit section. And you get behind the scenes stuff with our Patreon. For $30 a month is our merch tier, where you get some cool exclusive merchandise just for you. And of course, for $80 a month, you become one of the sponsors, and you get a nice, beautiful picture at the beginning of every episode. And you get a bit of time to talk about yourself exclusively during the breaks, like Dr. Chris Cummins. Dr. Chris Cummins is a doctor located in Oxford, Mississippi. And if you're ever just in need of some good Southern hospitality, you didn't eat your apple and you had to go to the doctor, well, let me tell you, you're in luck, because there is a good Southern doctor in Dr. Chris Cummins. Go check him out. especially if you have knee pain, because he can help you out with that. So please thank our sponsors, go support them, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
When my mother was in college, she danced with Confederate veterans. To me, it wasn't that far away. You know, my father knew this. My mother knew this. Almost 50 years ago, I joined the Sons of Confederate Veterans. In those days, we weren't concerned about saving monuments or any of those things. That wasn't necessary. In fact, none of us had any remote idea that it would ever come up. We can't just sit there and react. We have to be proactive. Or, as Robert E. Lee said, the best way to disrupt your enemy's plans is to strike first. Everyone should do all in his power to collect and disseminate the truth, in the hope that it may find a place in history and descend to posterity. History is not the relation of campaigns and battles and generals or other individuals, but that which shows the principles for which the South contended and which justified her struggle for those principles. If you're looking for some place to be where you think you're going to accomplish something to save our history, go to the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I'm Thomas Lee Jesse. I'm a descendant of Private Daughtery Gilmer, a Confederate veteran.
And welcome back into our program, Tennessee Tuesday on SCB Chat. Again, I hope you're having a great evening there. Tom Wood is our guest tonight. We're glad to have Tom with us. Again, Moose, I wanted to applaud you on the great show you guys had the other night and talking about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and how much he's meant to you guys. Just a great program the other night. We appreciate the work you do there, and you and Connor, to bring this and our organization and Southern history to the forefront. Just a fantastic job you guys do. So we continue this evening. Again, thank you for all those that are watching with us. We're about 7:28 right now, Central Standard Time. We came on a little bit late this evening due to some technical issues. It's been what I want to call a Monday, even though it's Tuesday. It seems like it's been going like that all day long, but we're here with you tonight and glad to have you here join us. So we'll get back in with Tom. I see Tom's video has dropped back off. Tom, can you still hear me though?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't see you. But long as you can hear and we can talk, that'll work tonight. How about that?
Okay. All right.
Fantastic. All right, Tom Wood is our guest again this evening. He is the camp commander of the General Hatton Camp in Lebanon, Tennessee, and a fantastic job those guys do leading the charge across the division and across the Confederation. And Tom, we want to get in a little bit now and learn more about who Tom Wood is and a little bit of your background, maybe professionally, if you want to touch in on some of that, and then kind of into your involvement and interest in history and then the SCV. So, Tom, let's talk a little bit about how did you get involved in history? Where did this passion come from? And then kind of get into the SCV.
Well, I've always had a passion for history. History was probably my favorite subject in school. I joined, well, I'm a Lebanon native, but my parents moved from Tennessee fairly early in my life. They moved north to the industrialized region where they could make more money. A lot of my family went north. We wound up in Arizona. I went to high school. I went to high school in Arizona, and even I attended college at Arizona State. So out of Arizona State, I got my commission in the Air Force. Went in the Air Force. Spent a couple of years in Italy, which was pretty interesting, being in Europe for a couple of years, traveling around. I've lived in several different states because of the military and my career. I was in construction for over 40 years.
Well, Tom, let me jump in there with you. How long were you in the military and the Air Force?
I retired after 20 years in the reserves.
Okay. So did you actually, I know folks are probably wanting to know this, did you fly planes? What was your responsibility in the Air Force?
I did not. I was what they call an alert duty officer in Italy, and I had about 33 additional duties. Uh, so it kept me really busy. Um, and then I spent 2 years as a training officer at Officers Training School.
Okay.
And then I decided to leave active duty, and I went back to Arizona. Uh, Entered into the business with my father in the construction business. Took over that business for several years, and then had some what I thought were bigger opportunities with major nationwide companies, and so I did that. I wound up my career probably one of the most lots of rewards in my career, but probably maybe the most rewarding assignment I had is that Lipscomb University came after me and got me, and I was their director of construction for several years. I retired from there, and my assistant said when I retired, she said, "Tom, you should be very proud of yourself." She said, "There's not a building on this campus that you haven't built or touched in some way,"
Oh, wow.
which was true. It was we did about $150 million worth of work in the 8 years that I was there.
So, Tom, in your time in construction before you got there, did y'all specialize in certain type of construction?
Uh, well, in the business that we had, it was we did a lot of housing and commercial, both.
Okay.
After that, after I left the business, why it was strictly commercial work.
Well, definitely a good background there. Of course, that's a very important industry right now. I'm going through a building project at our library. It's $1 million project, and
Yeah, I see that.
I may have to call on somebody like you with your expertise.
Well, it looks like it's going well for you.
Thank you, Tom. Again, Tom Wood is our guest this evening, camp commander of the General Hatton Camp in Lebanon, Tennessee. And Tom, since we're talking about General Hatton now, I mentioned that name. Folks may want to know a little bit about the general. We may be familiar with his statue in Lebanon that almost all the way gets hit by cars, seem to like to jump that and do the Dukes of Hazzard thing there.
Yeah. It gets hit, seems like about every once a year, and we have to repair the fences. Fortunately, the general has never been hit, but he's a pretty big statue. So if one of these drunk drivers ever hits him, it'll kill him. But anyway, General Hatton. A little bit about
tell
General
me a little
Hatton.
bit about who General Hatton is. I know he's got a very interesting story and interesting life.
Okay. Can we go back? You can't see me on camera anymore, can you?
I can't see, but I can hear you. Okay.
Okay. Well, let me, if I may, let me go back to some of our activities. We really only covered the fair.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to touch into that, that's fine. Yeah.
We've got some things going right now. I wish you could see this. We have published 5 different documents. We have a couple of driving tours that we've published, one in Lebanon that we are distributing all over the city and as far and wide as we can. We maintain and sponsor the battlefield up at Hartsville, just north of us. We have a driving tour up there. And we have some other things that we have published to help promote the camp and the SCV. And another project that we currently have, let me go back a couple of years. I started building a relationship with the Tennessee State Museum folks.
Yeah.
And our local Lebanon Veterans Museum. And 2 years ago, I was able to talk them into letting us, having them loan us the 7th Tennessee flag, which we displayed in our local Lebanon museum. It was there for several months. Then last year, I worked with them again, and we put up another company flag from the 7th Tennessee, and we've had had opening ceremonies for both. Lots of community people came to those, and of course, then they were there. The flags were there, and then I talked them into. I talked to our Confederate Museum folks, Jason and Adam, and asked them if they would be interested in having those flags taken down to our museum, and they said, yeah, that'd be great. So the state museum was willing to do that. So they were on display down at our National Museum for several months, and so I'm proud of those accomplishments. We have the great grandson of Robert Hatton
Okay, wow, I didn't know that.
in our camp. He's retired. He has moved to St. Augustine, Florida, but he's still a member of our camp and does what he can for us. And so I knew that the State Museum had General Hatton's field desk. We had seen it before.
Sure.
And so I contacted them, and they said, yeah, we have it. And so I contacted Robert, great grandson, and I asked him if he would be willing to loan some of the artifacts from Hatton.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of negotiated that, but he is going to send a letter. He has Hatton's letters that he sent to Sophie and other people.
Oh, that's nice. I shared, Tom. I don't know if you can still see it. There's a picture of the seventh flag there.
Yeah, that's it. And so Hatton wrote a letter February 19th, 1862. I have the transcribed copy here. He's not sent me the original yet, but he will. And it says, to the representatives from Tennessee at Richmond, Virginia, cannot the men of Tennessee be permitted now to aid in her defense? Now, they're in Virginia. They've been sent to Virginia, and they don't want to be in Virginia. They really want to be in Tennessee.
True. Mm-hmm.
For our regiments, we beg the privilege, and as our representatives, we ask that you appeal earnestly to the War Office on our behalf. Why should our boys be denied their poor request? Granted, our brigade is a unit for the war, and it's signed by Hatton and Colonel Forbes from the 14th. It was part of the Tennessee Brigade in Virginia. But so anyway, he's sending that letter, and he's
well,
also.
Tom, let's back up a little bit to make sure our folks that are watching with us tonight, a little bit about General Hatton himself.
Yeah, sure.
And the 7th Tennessee, how he's involved in that.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I don't know how much you want, but
give me the little brief bio of who General Hatton was before the war.
Yeah. Well, Hatton was we're honored to have our camp named after General Robert Hatton. He was a leader. He was a leader of men. He was a leader in his community. He was a leader in his state of Tennessee. He was a leader in the nation, and he was a great military leader. He was born in Ohio. He was one of 33 generals that were actually born in Ohio, but fought for the Confederacy.
Mm-hmm.
His family, his father was an itinerant preacher. He traveled in the North. Very devout Christian family, which he held up those beliefs his entire life. There's some stories about that we may not have time to tell, but anyway, the family moved to Lebanon moved to Nashville in 1835. Hatton continued education. He was a very smart young man. He applied to Cumberland University here in Lebanon in 1845. And he wanted to be a junior. He wanted to come in as a junior level, skipping his first 2 years. The university allowed that, but said you must keep your academic rank, accordingly, which he did. He graduated in 2 years.
Oh wow!
He went to law school at Cumberland. Spent a year. He couldn't afford to finish law school. and he would not borrow the money because he did not want to be indebted to any man. And so he studied on his own for a couple of years, passed the bar, got married, became an attorney here in Lebanon. He was elected to the Tennessee Assembly. He was always very interested in politics.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And he got into the Tennessee Assembly in 1855, served for 2 years. Then he decided to run for governor of Tennessee and against Isham Harris, who was the governor when the war started. Isham beat him, but the debates they had must have been pretty fierce, because in West Tennessee, one time the debate got so heated, it wound up in a fist fight.
Oh, wow.
So, but in 1859, then he entered Congress for 2 turbulent years. Those were tough years, 2 years before the war started. While he served in Congress, he was very much against secession. He thought the nation should stick together, they should work out their problems. But as time went along and 1864 came around, you can see in his letters that he became less pessimistic, or became more pessimistic about the future of the country. In late 1864, he began writing his wife saying, "I do not see any way that this nation can continue to be one nation. The Republicans do not want it. They do not want it to happen." He said, "I believe they want war." And he said they are unwilling to compromise. They're unwilling to negotiate. They just want war. In March of 64, I'm sorry, that's not right. All those letters happened before the war, so it was 60 and 61.
Sure.
But
Sure.
but
So basically, I see where you were off there, and his viewpoint really changed before the war.
Yeah, and he couldn't do it. He said he just couldn't do anything. So March of 61, he arrived back in Lebanon, never to see Washington again. He made a speech, a 2-hour speech on the county courthouse steps, talking against secession. He had a mixture of anti-secessionist and secessionist folks in the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when he said the wrong thing, he would get booed and hissed. There was a lot of animosity going on. So that night, the hatred that had been generated that day for Hatton from the secessionists, a bunch of young people, 20 of them, many of them Cumberland University students, arrived at Hatton's house at 11 o'clock at night, hitting on tin pans, yelling, whooping, screaming, making all kinds of noise.
Mm-hmm.
Woke the Hattons up. General Hatton, or Robert Hatton, came to the front porch, fired a couple of shots into the air. A few shots were fired back at him, but there was no injuries. So it finally broke up, and the crowd left, and they went. He lived just outside of town, about probably a quarter of a mile. They went back into town and hung him in effigy. I mean, they
wow.
hated Hatton because of his position. So
Tom, when this happened, what year are we at now? We're in 1864.
Oh, we're in 61. This is March of 61.
This is 61. Okay.
A month before the war started. So Hatton's never-ending hope for peace and his continued hard work for peace and unity ended when Lincoln sent 75,000 Yankees south to attack. Hatton said that the United States Constitution had been tossed aside to be remembered only in the history books. The great government founded by General Washington and the Patriots of 1776 had ceased to exist. Somebody asked Hatton to give another speech. He said, the time for speaking has ended.
Yeah.
It's time for action. So he began forming this company. They were called the Lebanon Blues. 5 other companies were being formed. Those 6 companies left Lebanon in May of 61, headed for Nashville and training camp. At training camp, those 6 and 4 more companies that were from surrounding neighbors of ours in Lebanon joined forces and were made the 7th Tennessee Infantry. They, for some reason, were shipped to Virginia, where they spent the remainder of the war.
So let me ask you here, Tom, what was the makeup like in Wilson County and Lebanon at the time those guys enlisted and those companies were formed? What was it like there politically?
Let me tell you that this area was very Confederate friendly. Here's an example. There were 23 Confederate companies formed out of Lebanon. There were 3 Union companies formed in Lebanon.
Yeah, that's very similar to the way it is down my way. There was a couple of Union companies, but it was mostly Confederate.
Yeah. So Hatton he was elected colonel. He was very popular. So 8 days before his death at Seven Pines, he was promoted to brigadier general. So he was a general for 8 days. They were in the battle. They were in the reserves. They were called up late afternoon, August 31st. And Hatton was leading his men, riding on his horse. His horse was killed. He extricated himself from his horse, got up, started walking again to the enemy, firing his 2 pistols. He had 2 pistols. And he was hit by a mini ball and instantly killed. Lieutenant Colonel Howard, who had been one of the commanders of one of the companies that left Lebanon, he said that the last words that he heard Hatton say was, "Follow me, boys." So to
the very end, he was truly, Tom, fighting till the very end.
Oh, he to the very, very end. Yeah. Firing his 2 pistols at the enemy when he was got.
At this time, Tom, how old was he at this point?
He died at 36. He was a young man.
Yeah, very young man. And there's also, Tom, and you may be going to talk about this, I've noticed that there's a book about the life of General Hatton that was written many years ago.
There is. It was written by a man named Drake, and it's the only book that's been written on Hatton. I have been considering writing a book on Hatton myself. So,
how accurate is Drake's? Is there more information been found since that point in time that can be added to it?
Yeah, there's been some additional information. Yeah. But that book was written, I believe, in 1866, if I'm right, or 67, somewhere in there after the war. And he met with Sophie Hatton, the widow, and convinced her to that he should write the book. And she said, "You can write it, but just don't get too personal in our lives." She gave him all the letters that she had, and they were love letters from Hatton.
Oh, wow.
And he promised, but he kind of, as far as she was concerned, he broke his promise because she was very unhappy that there was too much personal information about their lives shared.
And now we look at it, Tom, and we're grateful that that information was put out there.
Well, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. That's right. Yes.
So these letters you mentioned, Tom, that you've got to see some of, are these the same letters that are referenced in this book? Or are all of the letters still in existence? Or
yeah, many of those are the same ones referenced in the book. Yeah. Those were all letters written from Hatton to his wife, Sophie. And of course, to my knowledge, there are no letters existing that Sophie wrote to Hatton, because they apparently, he apparently destroyed them, or they
Sure.
were destroyed in the field, whatever, something happened. And so we do not have her letters. We do have correspondence from hers, but it's after the war. She was quite a person in her own right. She wound up being a missionary in Japan, and
Oh, wow.
she was, I think, the first librarian. My wife and another lady, they do presentations on Sophie and Sophie's life. And she was a librarian in Nashville. I think the first librarian, and you might be interested in that, being a librarian yourself.
Yeah, I remember. I've seen her name, and I've connected that. Very important in that time.
Yeah, she was. She was very important at that time.
And did she ever remarry Tom?
She never did. No. She he was buried in Knoxville, Tennessee, because they couldn't bring him home to Lebanon because of the Union occupancy in Tennessee. Occupation. I'll get that right in a minute. Occupation in Tennessee.
Which at the time of his death was in May of 1862, Tom?
62, yeah. So he was brought back. He was buried in Knoxville for a while. Nobody seems to know where in Knoxville he's buried. We've asked. The Knoxville camp doesn't know. I don't know that anybody knows where he was temporarily buried. He was brought back to Lebanon, 1866, after the war, and hundreds and hundreds of people, state leaders, local leaders, community, came out for his reinterment. And he's buried in Lebanon in the family plot with his wife and two of his three children.
And then there's a photo I've got up of his marker there in the cemetery.
Yep.
So, Tom, let's talk a little bit more about the monument, too, I guess, as we kind of move into that, because obviously there's a monument that's on in, I guess, what I'd call the square there with a roundabout that's around it. Let's talk about it and how it got placed and how he was a hero to Wilson County, how that came about.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Let me say this before I forget. There were two generals. There were two Confederate generals that lived in Lebanon when the war started. General Hatton, of course, and General A.P. Stewart was a professor at Cumberland University when the war started. He and Hatton were neighbors and friends. Matter of fact, Stewart has a very interesting life himself. And so when Stewart came to Cumberland in 1845 to be a professor of mathematics and natural history, he was 24. Hatton came the same year to Cumberland as a student. He was 19. So they were 5 years apart. Student and teacher. So
definitely close in age. So their viewpoints and things are real similar since being. Were they friends at that point, or how well did they know each other at that time?
Well, I don't know that we know how close they were, but it would be interesting to hear. And there were several colonels that came out of Cumberland, came out of Lebanon, and it would be interesting the conversations that these neighbors and friends had with each other as the war approached. And Stewart was against secession as well, and basically he agreed with Hatton when the Yankees invaded the South. They both became Confederate soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it was time you were going to make a decision where you stood.
That's right. Well, as far as the monument is concerned, we get a lot of questions. Is the monument safe? Is it protected? Our monument is probably, as other than some drunk running through the fence about once a year, it's probably about as well protected as it can be. You remember when Antifa at one point in time threatened the monument, and they were going to come and destroy it one evening. And everybody found out about it. Well, we had guys in our camp that came to guard it with their guns, and the police were there with their guns. Antifa never showed up.
Yeah. Guess that
So-
showed them where not to come there, not to come to Lebanon.
Not a good place to go. No,
Yeah.
not smart. Our government officials, our mayors, have always been supportive. We have a little proactive campaign at the fair every year. We have petitions that we have been getting signed every year. We must have thousands. We must have now thousands of petitions signed, saying that we want this monument to remain. But we don't see any danger to it. We feel that it's in good hands. It was dedicated in 1912 by the UDC and our camp here, the Howard Camp, which was Confederate.
Sure.
What is it? UCV? Yeah.
Yeah, United Confederate Veterans.
Yeah, and by them and the UDC, it was kind of sponsored by those two organizations. Of course, during that was the strong period for the UDC, putting monuments up all across the South in memory of our boys.
So it's in its original location still, too, right?
Yeah, that's its original location. Yeah, and there's a photo of the dedication. I mean, there were thousands of people there.
It's definitely in the picture we've got up now, a more recent picture, a beautiful monument, a beautiful square there in downtown Lebanon. But Tom, I always, it's kind of funny at times, but I'm glad nobody's ever hit the monument. There was one, in the last year or so, a guy that took out a couple of light poles and did a Dukes of Hazzard jump across that.
Yeah, he did. He was doing about 100 miles an hour when he came through there and took out much of the fence and a couple of the city's lights and wound up about a block on the other side of the statue. We've had some interesting times with that.
Absolutely. Well, again, this evening, Tom Wood is our guest. Tom, we need to take one final break. We'll kind of come back, if that's okay with you, and we'll wrap it up and learn a little bit more how they can learn what you guys do in Lebanon, and we'll kind of wrap up the program. Moose, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
And welcome back into Tennessee Tuesday. SCV Chat is where we are this evening. Thank you for watching with us on the different platforms. And again, our guest this evening is Tom Wood, who is the commander of the General Hatton Camp in Lebanon, Tennessee. Tom, it's been a great program so far, and I've learned a lot about General Hatton I already didn't know.
Yeah, it was a very interesting person. Yeah, great guy, great person. He was so popular in Lebanon that everybody called him Bob.
Oh, wow.
Good old Bob.
Well, let's talk a little bit about as we wrap up tonight, Tom, your camp there. Again, when do you guys meet? If folks want to come learn more about you, come visit the camp. I know y'all have very active meetings and meeting monthly, correct?
We meet monthly. Yes, we do. We meet at the Jimmy Floyd Community Center at 511 Castle Heights Avenue in Lebanon. We meet at 6:30 every month, last Thursday of the month. We do have great meetings. We have great speakers. We work hard to get the best speakers that we can, and we have some great speakers in our organization and outside that we always enjoy. We know those speakers are important. Those programs are important to our successful camp meetings, and so we put a real emphasis on our programs. We're doing very well. We're growing. It seems like we have something going almost every week, at least every other week. We're participating in something. We're sponsoring something, some event that we're doing something, and we have 3 or 4 memorials services a year. We maintain all the Confederate monuments and gravestones of our 170 plus Confederate soldiers that are buried at our historic Cedar Grove Cemetery. Another Confederate cemetery that we maintain. We sponsor and maintain our the battlefield at Hartsville, where Colonel John Hunt Morgan captured 2,000 Yankees in a matter of an hour or so.
Yeah. And
so we're always honored to do that and have that honor to do that. I write articles for our local paper that has often been printed. Of course, every event, every meeting, every opportunity I have, I try to put something in our local paper again to keep our presence out there and let people see what we're doing and what's going on. We're just a real busy camp, and got great people and that are interested in serving our ancestors and our Southern heritage.
I think it shows, again, Tom, you guys being recognized at national for the work you do, but it's evident by following you on social media as well that you guys are busy. And Tom, I don't see any sign that you're slowing down either. You can outwork me and outbeat me.
Well, I've been blessed, John. I've been blessed. So I'll go as well. One of my guys here recently said, "I want you to go. We want you to go until you absolutely run out of gas." And I said, "Okay, we'll try to do that."
We'll just keep that gas tank full because we need you. Great work you guys do there in Lebanon. I know it's not just you, Tom, but all of your camp members. If another camp was out there and are trying to grow, trying to build, looking for things to go, reaching out to you, I think would be important for them to kind of model their camp after what you do and how you've got people involved. And it's important to keep the members involved. So they've got a role. So there's a reason for them to be there.
Well, we try to do enough different things, John, that not everybody's going to be interested in the same thing. You know that.
Yeah.
And so we try to do enough different things that gets more people involved. If they don't want to do this, they can do that. So we want to give them every opportunity to serve that we can.
Well, Tom, I want to, of course, mention Miss Nancy. I'm sure you couldn't do it all you do without her support.
Absolutely not. You bet. That's right. So
She keeps you in line, and I know that we don't see her do it a lot in public, but I know she keeps you in line and in order.
yes,
Huh?
yeah, you bet she does. Absolutely.
Well, Tom, again, thank you so much for all you do. And of course, on the division level, you served for several years as adjutant of the division, and of course now as the chaplain of the Tennessee division. Tom, how you do for the SCV and honoring our ancestors.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure, and I hope to be able to do it for a few more years.
Absolutely. Well, Tom Wood's been our guest this evening. Tom, thank you so much. And know the door is always open. Anytime you guys have something, we'd love to promote it here on Tennessee Tuesday.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Tom. All right, guys, we get ready to just about wrap up this edition. A couple of things we want to mention coming up SCV news-wise. The Tennessee Division does have an executive council meeting coming up this Saturday, September the 20th. So if you're watching from Tennessee and you haven't made your plans to be there Saturday, I need you there. It's important as we do the business of our organization and keep our membership informed of what we're going on. So we have an executive council meeting coming up this Saturday. It will be at the National Confederate Museum there at the McCain Library, and that will start at 8:30 on Saturday mornings, and there'll be lunch available. So if you're a DEC member and you're coming, I need to know about that. Reach out to me. And also, if you're a division member that wants to attend to sit into that meeting, I'd like to know that as well, because we do have lunch, and the OCR is always so gracious to provide us men with a great lunch, and we appreciate them as well. So that's coming up this Saturday. Also, again, we missed Jason Boshears this evening. I know the Watkins camp there in Columbia has their camp meeting this evening. I believe Michael Hardy was their guest speaker, and Mr. Hardy always does a great job, a great historian, and I think they've done some touring around, and he got to see the grave of Sam Watkins there in Columbia. So we look forward to Jason being back with us next week as well. And as we wrap up, Moose, if you want to join in, let's promo some things you've got coming up on SCV Chat. And again, Moose, thank you so much for always being so willing to let the Tennessee division share things that's happening in our division with the great job you and Connor do. And again, we want to mention, I'm waiting for your announcement when you're getting married, since Connor's getting married. Surely you've got one coming up close.
No.
Oh.
No. I tell people this all the time. I am a bit, and I heard this from my poor father, a workaholic. So
Yeah.
I had, like, one of my friends was like, "When's the last time you went on a date?" And I was like, "Well, remember that Christmas, and me and my last girlfriend got in an argument." He was like, "That was 4 years ago." I was like, Huh, I didn't even realize that I've been just so focused. So no, I'm not getting married anytime soon.
No time soon. Well, we'll be working on that. We'll find you that perfect person.
Thank you.
So
But
what do you guys have coming up on SCV Chat next shows? So see, tonight's Tuesday. So what's coming up the rest of this week?
So Wednesday, of course, we have Look Around Florida with the Florida man, Sean McFall. Same time, 7 p.m., Confederate Standard Time. And, of course, Thursday we have Look Around. I will be trying to figure out how we're going to do it this week again. I don't know if I'll be able to do it yet, but we are going to be working on it. Last week we had to cancel because just some scheduling conflicts. No one could do it. So we're going to try to figure out again, because we do have a lot of great events coming up that I want to highlight.
Sure.
But with that, please make sure, of course, to share this episode out and email scvyouthOutreach@gmail.com, and you'll be featured on the upcoming episode of Look Around the Confederation. And I do want to remind everybody to please use the chat responsibly. I had somebody on Instagram. That's why I didn't pop up for a bit. I was dealing with him. But luckily, averted. But thank you all for tuning in. Of course, Friday, the Douglas Southall Freeman Group, Friday Night Live. And, of course, Sunday, speaking of Michael C. Hardy, he has Hardy, our History with Hardy. And it will be at 7 p.m., I believe, as well. So please go support our sister shows, and can't wait to see everybody hopefully Thursday.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic. Moose, appreciate all you do. Appreciate you jumping in tonight and helping produce this show. And we look forward to being back with you guys this coming Tuesday. We'll have another great program lined up.
Looking forward to it.
Y'all have a great evening, everybody. Take care, and God bless you.